So this is a shout out to Astrid. I'm in one of them now. It's not complete, top and bottom, but that was my design choice at the time. You can definitely have a full globe made of glass. So what I'm going to show you requires Infinity Hammer and Gizmo for hammer mods, but when you build it and you place it as a blueprint, it's 100% vanilla compatible. Other players don't need a mod, just place it in the world. So this globe is made with this. You can see I've placed one glass tile rotated at the end of this ash wood. Four pieces of ash wood, and that's all you need. So let's do it. First of all, you need to pick it up as one piece. So to do that, I'm going to use the build hammer. If you are building something like this and you find that some pieces do not come with the hammer, certain pieces of furniture, etc., then you'd use the area hammer. But ideally, build hammer is sufficient. So now this piece of glass has snapping points that it didn't have before, which means I can snap when I place it at this end. And that's what I want, because essentially this point here is like the center of the globe. Don't worry about height, that doesn't really matter, but I'll put it up a bit so you can see it better. Okay, now I'm going to get rid of that offset, the height, and hover it so that it snaps into the same place as the existing one. Then I'm going to rotate it. So now I have two, they're overlapping. And that is what I want. I have my snap divisions on 32 at the moment, and that works for this spacing, as you'll see. So now what I'm building is a section. Every time I rotate once, place it, I haven't had to freeze it because it's snapped to the end here. They're all snapped at the same spot. Until I get to an upright one. So now I have a right angle. So am I going to keep doing that for the entire globe? Not a chance. I'm going to repeat what I did before. Use the build hammer and pick that up. Now I always move on when I'm going to use a piece so that I can go backwards. I don't keep attaching to the thing I just built. Now, when I place it, and I find I don't want to use auto, I want to get the same snapping point I had before. But unfortunately, we have a lot of snapping points now. One way to avoid this is to add a piece, a long piece in this corner facing down, and use that as a snapping point. But I'm just going to live with it. As long as one of them is the corner, we're good. It may not have picked that. Looks like it hasn't. So I've got two options. One is make it really obvious, make it impossible to ignore, which is what I'll probably do. Other times where I didn't want to do that, I've just tried picking up this piece again and I got different snapping points. But for the purposes of this, I'm going to abandon that, grab one piece, not the build hammer, attach it to the bottom, and now when I pick it up, it'll have that long bit, and it'll be much harder for it to ignore. It's picked it straight away, so that's good. And it's not the exact corner I was going to use, but as you'll see, it doesn't matter. What I'm going for now is another section. Using the same method, but I'm rotating it this way instead. So I'll place one, rotate it just a bit, just one snap division on 32. And you see you get a crisscross effect here. Put it on again, repeat. So now we have a quadrant of the globe, and you can see the outside starting to take shape. Don't worry about all this ash wood, because at the end we're just going to force delete it. And this is how simple it is. Now I've got the choice of picking this up and rotating it to do the other half, or the other quadrant, or I can just keep rotating that piece. One thing about picking this up is I probably want to be one piece short of a right angle here. And we'll continue to build it separately again. Sometimes when it's all up here, it's easier to do it from underneath. So you can see that it is not continuous over to my left. If I just move it so it's in the right spot, you'll notice that I now have a full half circle. If I'd used a full quarter and hadn't dropped that last piece off this edge, I'd have an overlap, because 2 full quarters would have one section, one of these, duplicated. So this just avoids that. It would be overlaid. Then can probably guess what happens next. Pick my build hammer. Move it out a bit. Now in this case I may well just freeze it so I can fly under and just check. Okay. I now have evenly spaced sections. So I'm going to place that. I've got my half globe. Let's pick that up. I could well remove most of the ash wood to make this a bit easier to deal with, and just keep one. I just need one center. So if I was going to do that, I'd actually just choose a different piece of wood, so that when I force delete, this stays. So I could do a centerpiece that goes all the way through the middle, or I could just snap to the top. There's quite a few of them in the middle there, so it's going to be a bit weird. It may be easier to do from the bottom. You can see it snaps quite readily to that. Freeze it there. And moving it up. Now it's poking through, and that is the center. So doing this again, but without all of that ash wood. I usually get my hammer and point at what I'm going to force delete, just to make sure. Force delete. Ash wood beam 2 minutes. Then when I pick this up, it's just a bit easier to manipulate. Not quite so many instances. It's going to give me the right snapping point. I think that is it. No. Let's just see. No. How long is it going to take me to get it? Okay, got it that time. Just going to rotate that. Freeze. Check it inside. Let's just break it and then put it back. so there's no gaps, no unusual overlap. There's my half. Pick that up. This time I'm just going to rotate it. The rotate, hammer rotate command. There's my bottom. And somewhere here is the center. And it's quite interesting, but we're making a globe. There you go. Important thing is we have a globe with the center still available to me. When I place that, I've got two center posts, top and bottom. When I want to use this somewhere and I want it to be in the middle, I've got the snapping points that I need. So that's it. It builds one of these. Here's me doing it previously. Slightly different approach to getting the center beam, because it wasn't actually going to attach down here. Yeah, so I just tried it and that's how it worked. I ended up with different styles. I started putting some Grouston on it, combining these. Quite liked this. It's the same thing, it's just a bigger section. So there's even less rotation there. Flipped it over, made a globe. Changed the design a bit. So more of a cap around this edge. You can see all the ash wood still here from that. And ended up putting a bit of a design through the middle. So there you go. Glass globe.